This is a finished duck ready for paint or just to be left in a natural finish. The wood is basswood. It has been wood. The detailed barbs and the feathers have been burnt in with a wood burner. As you can see, the temperature was turned down on the wood burner so that they did not have too much black in the burning. You don't want too much black. Anyway, feathers on birds lay pretty doggone flat onto the body, especially when a duck is wet or a songbird is wet. That the feathers are laying very flat. When you get around the area close to the wingtips, those feathers can be relieved off of the surface a little bit more than the other feathers. The feathers on the back of the bird are actually the trailing edge of the wings. So that's about where we are. Now here is a duck body that has been partially carved, and we're about ready to start doing the feather layout. I've got to start on the feather layout, and you feather each side of the feather head, each side of the wing. The wings in the back of the body. Each side has the same number of wings, but the layout is not exactly symmetrical. So you lay out the feathers that you're going to carve in there with a pencil, and then we can get into the carving. Okay, that's done. This is a hooked skew. It's a chisel. It's a palm-handled chisel. It fits in the palm of your hand. It's in the palm. Being in the palm, it's in a direct line with your forearm. So the cutting action is with your arm, and the fingers basically control the direction of the cut, and a slight bit of hold on the control of the tool. But the main pressure is from a push of the arm. It's a very comfortable tool to use. Okay, you take the heel, which is this back end down here, and you more or less bury that into the wood, starting at the tip and going to the back. As you can see, that the hooked skew chisel is held vertically to the body. I like to work on one row of feathers at a time. Once you've more or less outlined your feathers, you then come in laying the tool flat on its side and remove that bit of wood that is there. You don't want to cut too deep, because you don't want to leave the stop cut from your you're carving, you don't want to leave that into the wood. There is a nice point to this chisel, allow you to get into the corner areas. It's just a beautiful little tool to use. Okay, that's basically it. Next thing you do is you take a medium grit sandpaper, and I would normally do what I did to this first row of feathers. I would normally do that all the way down. But that would be a bit repetitive for right now. So I take this medium grit sandpaper and I kind of round off the feather a little bit. I make sure that the tip of the feather is not too high off of the wing of the bird. When you get down to the back end, these feathers can be relieved a little bit more. When you're doing this, you take the back end and as you bury it, you don't hold it vertically, you hold it at an angle. Of the other feathers, that's basically the use of the skew chisel. The next thing that I use is a spring-loaded sanding stick with a cloth-backed sanding belt. You push it down and you can rotate it around to get fresh sandpaper. It is really surprising how long these things will last. And you do this to further work down the feather area. So the feather is just slightly rounded. I like a toothbrush to remove the sanding material. Now there's two different approaches that people use to working on the feathers. Some people will take the barb that's down the center of the feather, and they will carve that in, much like we did the outline of the feather. Now this, you want to carve really shallow. You don't want to go deep at all, because the barb or the quill is not really extended over the surface. And here again, the sanding stick then smooths and rounds off the side of the feather. Now, this, with a little bit further sanding, smooths the surface down, and it's ready for a wood burner to burn the barbs on the feathers. You need a wood burner with a temperature control unit and a very fine tip. And you don't want to burn black, because that gives you charcoal. Charcoal crumbles, and your carving will hold up better if you don't get too much charcoal on the surface.